At the height of my anxiety, I couldn't even leave the house without drinking alcohol or taking anti-anxiety medication. By my late 20s, things had got so bad that I had to spend a fortune on a psychiatrist who I would pay just to walk me around town. And he would walk behind me, shouting instructions at me like, swing your arms, stand up straight, look them in the eye, all this kind of stuff, which is really a crazy extent to go to just to overcome your anxiety about even walking down the street. Nowadays, I'm 5 years sober, I don't rely on alcohol, I don't touch medication, and I don't need expensive therapy that goes on for decades without any clear endpoint. I go wherever I want, do whatever I want, without being a slave to my anxiety. And being sober doesn't stop me doing things that I love, like dancing. In fact, dancing sober was always one of my biggest fears. I would always have to rely on alcohol in order to have a good time or relax at all. But dancing in public sober was always something I dreamed of being relaxed enough to do. A few years ago, even walking down the street without the aid of alcohol was inconceivable, let alone going to a dancing party on the beach sober in the middle of the day, which is what I do now on a Friday and Saturday afternoon. In this video, I'm going to reveal to you the exact process I devised which took me from being a fearful, socially anxious recluse to being happy, outgoing, alcohol-free and medication-free. And stick around to the end because I'll be sharing one hard truth about overcoming your fears which other people do not talk about. And by the way, if you're a professional, a small business owner or an entrepreneur who struggles with anxiety and would like to work with me one-on-one so that you can overcome your issues and level up every area of your life, then by all means click on the link you see in the description of this video. We're currently offering a 12-week cognitive reprogramming course which is taking entrepreneurs and business owners from a place of dread and anxiety to a life of abundance, happiness, physical ease, and authentic expression. And it's working for people in as little as 8 weeks. So if you'd like to jump on a call and see if this program is a good fit for you, then please go ahead and hit that link in the description. Now let's dive into the main content of this video, which is how to overcome your fears. And to do this, I'm going to use the example of the afternoon dancing party at the beach, which I go to here. When facing your fears, the first step is to just get a piece of paper and have a brain dump. Just write down all the things that you're scared of. And this could be speaking to someone you're attracted to, dealing with people in a position of authority. It could be ordering food at a restaurant, public speaking, dancing in public, whatever it might be. For me, back in the day, this ranged from everything from walking into a supermarket right up to dancing in public and public speaking. Once you've done this, the second step is to start ranking these fears in a hierarchy. So starting with the most basic at the bottom and moving right up to the top. So for example, leaving your house might be the most fundamental fear that you need to address, and it goes right up to something like dancing in public or public speaking. Once you've got this fear hierarchy written out, you can then start working your way through each fear. And in doing this, you want to take each fear and you can break it down into its component parts. This is a way of setting micro goals, which is something I'm a huge advocate of because it really works on reverse psychology. If you set yourself a huge goal, you may follow through on it one day, but it's going to be such an effort, you won't make that a consistent part of your life. If you trick yourself into saying, right, I'm just going to do 2 minutes of cardio, then you're much likely going to do way more once you've got your running shoes on and you get out the door. So what you want to do is set yourself micro goals just to get the ball rolling. So if getting out of your house is the biggest issue right now, you could micro goal that down into just go to the front door, open the front door for 10 seconds and look out onto the street, or step out of the door and spend 20 seconds standing on the front doorstep. If we use the example of the dancing party, we could chunk that down into micro goals. So first of all, step 1, identify the dancing party on Facebook. The next micro goal could be to just go to the location when the dancing party isn't even on and just have a look, see what the environment is like and what it's going to be like when the party is happening on a Friday and Saturday afternoon. The next step might be to just go and observe the party from a distance but not participate. So step by step, you're just building up incrementally. Then later on, you might go and actually attend the party but not get fully involved. You might stand on the periphery and just observe and gradually move your way in and closer to your goal. So maybe the next week you might go and actually just stand on the edge of the dancing and shuffle about a bit, and then the week after that you might get a bit more involved, or you might take an opportunity to just talk to a few people on the edge of the dancing party and just gradually familiarize yourself with what's going on. So it's very important to use this micro step approach to just incrementally work your way to your goal. Once you've identified the goal you're going to work on, the next thing you need to do is to prime your mind. And I like to use a framework called PDA, which is pre, during, and after. So back in the day when I was knocking down my fears, a very important step was how I framed the event beforehand, the pre-stage. And this is to do with cognitive framing. And one thing I found very useful was to try and live life like an experiment. I would see this thing that I was going to do in a very rational way, try to be unemotional. For example, if I was going to go into this dancing party, I would tell myself this is only an experiment. I'm basically a scientist. There's no failure and no winning. I'm just going there to see what happens, get data points and feedback. There is no failure, there is only feedback and data points. So stay as objective and as rational as possible. And that's how I would frame it up in my mind. Life is like an experiment. This is a shot to nothing. I'll just give it a try. So that takes a lot of pressure off yourself leading up to trying something like this. Now for the D stage of the PDA framework, which is during any kind of fear facing. And a very important step here is to use somatic techniques, which means to work with the body. Just try and stay loose as possible. That means using your mind to identify where you're holding tension and to release that tension. So I would have to use my mind to make sure that I'm not holding my breath, sucking in my stomach, tensing my diaphragm, clenching my jaw, hunching my shoulders, all those kind of things. I would try and stay loose. In this example, I'm talking about the dancing party, but it could be in a meeting with your boss or something at work. It could be in the supermarket. Another one is like queuing at the airport. People get very tight and instinctively start to draw their shoulders up to their ears. So use your consciousness to identify parts of the body that you can loosen and try and stay loose in the body. And secondly, during, I would try and focus my attention outwards. Do not get so drawn into your inner critical dialogue. At the dancing party, it's very important for me to just be focused on what's going outside, see other people, smile at them, try and get into the atmosphere of what's going on rather than completely obsessed about my own movements and what's going on. Try and let yourself melt into the atmosphere of wherever it is that you are. Now for the A part of the PDA, which is afterwards, it's very important not to get caught in a negative cycle of rumination and rip yourself apart for I should have done this, I should have done that. There is no shoulding, okay? Should is really not helpful, and you want to avoid some kind of very critical post-mortem. You just observe what you've done, try and keep it rational. Maybe I went to the dancing party and I was a bit stiff. Okay, great, but let's focus on the positive. You went there, that's amazing, that's the most important thing. We have such a critical negative bias when we have social anxiety. In fact, social anxiety is not the problem. The problem is this whole framework of cognitive mental viruses that we run, all this faulty programming that we're running, and it corrupts our thought patterns. And one of the main corruptions to our software is this constant focus on the negative. So afterwards, please focus on the positive of what you did. If you went to a dancing party in this example, then that's amazing. The fact you even did it, even if you just went there to go and see what's happening there before even participating, you actually took the first step. Maybe it's facing a fear at work, whatever it is. The fact that you're even writing down your fears and you've made this commitment to overcome it and live the full life that you can, the self-actualized version of yourself, that is worthy of praise and appreciation for yourself. So focus on the positive. Do not rip yourself apart and be drawn into a lot of negative rumination. Next, I want to focus on some ways that you can improve your chances of success when you're facing your fears. Number one is to try and get involved with other people. Maybe you have a friend that you could drag along, and a wingman or a wingwoman, a wing buddy, someone that you can take along for a bit of moral support. And it's also more fun doing this stuff with other people generally. Secondly, take the pressure off yourself, as I say, by being objective and also starting very small. Baby step your way into any of this stuff. Like I say, just go and look at the place from afar or whatever it is. Just start very small. And thirdly, you can raise the stakes a little bit by adding in some accountability. Tell someone you know or post in a social anxiety forum or a Facebook social anxiety group, I am going to go to the pub on Friday night by myself, or whatever it is that you're trying to face, and just build in that accountability, because the way human psychology works is the concept of losing face in front of other people can be a great extrinsic or external motivator for us. So leverage that and you can add a bit of accountability so that there's more riding on what you're doing. Now for the final hidden secret sauce, which people do not talk about when overcoming social anxiety, and that is you must be brave. There is no other way around this. At the end of the day, you have to have balls, you have to have nuts, you have to have some fire in your belly, you have to really want to change and just be brave and go for it. I can give you all the information that I can on these videos. I can support you as much as possible as a coach in our one-on-one calls. But at the end of the day, it comes down to that moment where the fear is there, and do we face it and walk into the fire, or do we run away? And you just have to be brave. You have to feel the fear and do it anyway. You have to do it scared. You might want to vomit, but just do it anyway. So many performers talk about this. They don't get better at going on stage. They just become braver at doing the thing that they're so scared of. So you really have to just be brave. There is a real heroism to overcoming social anxiety, because at the end of the day, we might wrap all these concepts up in psychobabble and so on, but anxiety is just fear. You're scared. You're basically like a scared little child who's still stuck in these childhood traumas, and we just have to face them. You've got to do it. You cannot change. if you don't face your fears. You can pump yourself full of numbing medications if you want and live that way as a zombie who doesn't really feel anything, but that's not addressing the root cause. You can't just sit on your sofa and consume YouTube content or speak to a therapist or take medication and expect to change. You've got to reprogram your brain through actually facing your fears. And to do that, you've just got to be brave. So that's the hard truth that I've got to tell you here, which other people are not discussing. That's everything I've got for you in this video. I sincerely hope that it really helps you. It's a thrilling ride when you do start taking on your fears, because then you can start reclaiming the existence that you're always meant to have and start becoming the person that you're always meant to be. And it's very scary, but on the other side of fear is huge growth and huge development. And I really hope this works for you. Please tell me what fears you're facing and how it's going. If you want any help one-on-one, as I say, click that link and let's talk on a discovery call. Otherwise, you can email me for more help or more contact. And as always, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, because it helps us get the word out about this misunderstood and mistreated disorder, and it helps us to help more people like yourself. So thanks very much. Speak soon.